Okay, looks good here. Let's get through this thing. Okay, so here's basically the thing. The SSA released this, by email, POMS change. It's a policy change. And what it talks about is DDS performance management. Now, you guys know what DDS is. It's disability determination services. They call it different things in different states. Like Georgia has DAS, but everybody else, for the most part, DDS. And so the main thing here, well, not everybody, but the main thing here is that at the initial filing level and reconsideration level, the people that are adjudicating the claims, like making decisions on your behalf, right, that are like figuring out whether you're severely impaired or not, those individuals are the DDS reps. And this is a policy change talking about when they go ahead and review them and then have a mandatory review of what they're doing because they're not doing a good job figuring out if you are truly disabled or not. So let's take a look at this real quick. Okay, so POM's recent change, this is DI 39557 TN1. Let's get into it. This was transmitted on 7/31/24, but then was basically released via email today. So this is like brand new, out of the oven, cooking hot, brand new right here. All right, let's get to the important part of this. All right, DI 39557.003, DDS quality performance standards. Definitions. Decisional accuracy. Decisional accuracy is the percentage of correct initial disability determinations, like how many of these determinations DDS does that they basically decide correctly. The decision accuracy rate is based on the net error rate, which is defined as the number of correct deficient cases with changed disability decisions plus the number of deficient cases that are not corrected within 90 days from the end of the calendar quarter, divided by the number of cases reviewed. Okay, so that's how they do their math to figure out essentially if those DDS reps are doing a good job. Now, a lot of you guys would say they're not doing a good job. They have really low percent passage rates. You have to go to a judge to be found disabled. And yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot to that. Very true. All right, let's go to the next one. Performance accuracy. Performance accuracy is the official accuracy standard mandated by the regulations. Performance accuracy refers to the percentage of cases that do not have to be returned to state agencies for further development or correction of decisions based on the evidence in the file, and as such, represents the reliability of state agency adjudications. So what they're saying here is, if they have to pull this claim back and look at it, and there's things that were missing from it that they should have included to begin with while they were building it, then that's a problem. But if they have all the stuff for the most part and they're looking at it and it's not missing things, then that's not a problem. Performance accuracy includes the measurement of factors that have a potential for affecting a decision, as well as the correctness of the decision. Now, here's the important part right here. Quality performance standards. So this is basically like what they have to meet when making decisions in order for them to not be reviewed in a mandatory way. Decision accuracy. 97% for combined Title II SSDI claims and Title 16 SSI claims. Initial cases with a corresponding decision accuracy rate of 99%. So it tells you how bullshitty, right, this whole system is, that they would believe that DDS gets 97% near combined initial cases decided properly with corresponding decision accuracy rate of 99%. It tells you that their standards, when they have to go up to a judge and then they get remanded and then they get approved, it tells you that the standards that they use, they're pushing through a lot of claims with denials that they still believe should have been denied to begin with. So now, that's decision accuracy, 97% for combined Title II and 16 initial cases with corresponding decision accuracy rate of 99%. Performance accuracy, 90.6% for combined Title II and Title 16 initial allowances and denial cases. So they got to get 90.6% accuracy for performance accuracy. That's key here. These performance standards apply to all sites, including federal adjudication sites, so DDS sites, federal adjudication sites, etc. Types of support. Now, there's optional support. We, the feds, may offer, or a DDS may request, performance support at any time the regular monitoring and review process reveals support could enhance performance. The state does not have to be below the initial performance accuracy rate of 90.6% to receive performance support. So these DDS groups can request from the feds, a person to come in and help them do a better job. They don't have to be doing a crap job before they can request somebody help them. Support will be offered or granted upon request based on available resources. 2, and that's optional support. That's where DDS says, hey, we'd like some help in making this thing better, making this thing work better. Okay. Then we have mandatory support. Mandatory support. We will provide a DDS with performance support if regular monitoring and review reveal quality performance standards are not met for 2 consecutive calendar quarters. Performance support may include, but is not limited to, any or all of the following: a review of cases processed by the DDS emphasizing adherence to written guidelines, a request that necessary administrative measures be implemented, federal personnel to perform on-site and virtual reviews, conduct training, and perform other functions needed to improve performance. So what's happening here is they're outlining the categories of what they look for when a DDS group is likely approving too many claims. That's what this comes down to. Because when they're hyper reviewing and they've got to have 90 plus accuracy, up to 99% accuracy, that accuracy is going to have preference towards denials. Because the statutes are written kind of broad, they're not very specific. And so if you have broad, not very specific statutes, they can deny, and usually not get in trouble. But if they approve too many, performance review, that's mandatory. Operating policy. When a DDS falls below the quality threshold for 1 quarter, SSA may request a quality action plan and or request to meet with regional site representatives. When a DDS falls below the quality threshold for 2 consecutive calendar quarters, SSA will inform the regional commissioner in writing of quality concerns with the site and a summary of actions taken. They will allow the DDS a 6-month adjustment period to implement quality action plan. During the 6-month adjustment period, SSA will foster ongoing communication with the regional office regarding status of internal external quality reviews on initial claims, quality analysis, top 3 deficiency types, and refresher training efforts. So to put it another way, if they're approving too many claims, then they're not going to have proper accuracy because they know statistically about how many claims should be coming in. There's going to be this many terminal, this many extreme, this many severe, this many moderates, this many milds, etc. So they know when those numbers shift that there's a problem, that something's not adding up. Review Group 1 deficiencies cited during the 2 consecutive calendar quarters to identify potential trends. Perform a detailed analysis on the cited cases, consider possible outliers, work with the RO, regional office, and DDS to identify specific training needs, and assist the adjudication component as needed with requests for clarification of policies and or targeted refresher training. Now, one thing we don't get access to is how crappy the numbers are right now from a lot of these DDS stations. And the reason why is that they have mass new hirings. And a lot of these mass new hirings are kids just straight out of college. And so the problem you're running into is that these kids straight out of college, first-time job, this is a complex first-time job. And to be fair, it's a job that doesn't pay well. And to be fair, as a result of it not paying well, it has benefits that are better down the line, but you got to be with the system for a while to get those benefits. So the problem you're running into is that the numbers for this change, right, when they're doing all this stuff, they're right now looking at it saying, okay, look, we might have to potentially dumb down our percentages of quality and standard because we have so many new employees that they're not following all the procedures as would somebody who knows how to do it or somebody who knows how to CYA, right? Because that's the thing. When you get somebody working for a while, they either become a master of the system or they become a master of the CYA, how to cover their butt and make sure just enough is done that it gets through. After the 6-month adjustment period, SSA will continue to monitor the site closely to ensure quality stays above threshold. Note, these performance standards apply to all sites, including federal adjudication sites. All right, so now you basically have, what's going on. And they have management programs, they have information data reflections, all that stuff. The point of this, just so you guys understand, you guys have a good and proper understanding of how this is kind of going. I'm seeing a lot of internal review things being, coming up in these palms as change. I think that's probably part of this whole security stat thing where they're measuring employee completion standards, which, they had to implement this and go deep on it, really dig deep, because they got so many people working from home right now. Because they're all working from home, they want to make sure that they're completing enough tasks of what's being assigned to them. So I think this is an interesting document because it tells us specifically what would equate to a required or right here, they have it, mandatory support review. And so I think what the other thing that's interesting about this release is that it tells us impossible numbers, right? Having decisional accuracy that's 97% combined for SSDI and SSI initial cases with a corresponding decision accuracy rate of 99%. There's no way that they're that accurate. There's no way. There's no way they're 97 and 99% that right on. Performance accuracy, at least in 90.6% for combined SSDI and SSI cases for allowances. And there's no way. If that were true, then why do these claims go to a lot of the judges? And then the judges have to figure out where DDS didn't decide it correctly, change the decision, and then actually, offer an output. There's no way that these numbers are correct. But it tells me that the SSA is using a system that they can basically go ahead and deny enough claims to basically keep the regional offices happy with overviewing these DDS, and here's the deal. Just so you guys know, the way this works is when you have a claim, right, you file initial filing claim, starts at the local field office, and the local field office sends it off to DDS at the developmental unit. The DDS developmental unit will build up basic things. They'll send up the 3373 form, the 3369 work history form, some of the supplemental forms. They'll send that stuff off. Then you get to basically an assignment of a rep at that actual field office, at that actual DDS office. That DDS office rep will then go ahead and basically, just put it simple and straightforward, they'll actually adjudicate the claim. But where I've seen a lot of claims get denied, where the DDS rep thought that they would be approved, where they submitted for likely approval, is the DDS manager. So one thing we attorneys don't really talk about much online, it's kind of like a hidden secret of what we know and what we do, is that we know which DDS managers in which geographic areas are likely to deny claims that should have been approved. And so we try to get ahead of that ball when we can, when we know something should clearly be going through. So the bottom line is, classic Central Florida, right? Orlando area is known as a high denial rate by DDS managers. It's just a very high denial rate area. You go over to Tampa, it's a much higher approval rate by the DDS managers. And so, based off of that, we know which claims are likely going to go through earlier or not. And it's similar to kind of like knowing the judges, which judges are likely with a higher approval rate and which ones are not. So that's just something that is very relevant and important to actually winning Social Security disability insurance benefits or supplemental security income benefits. But now you know the unrealistic 90% to 97% to 99%, ridiculous statistics that they require of these DDS offices. And you know that that's going to equate to a higher denial likelihood, because the more of these denials that come out, they can just be like, well, we didn't think it fit the standard. We didn't think it met the standard. And when the rules are broad, you can deny things and they're not going to get as much scrutiny or review down the line. But when you approve too many, right, approve too many claims, they'll get review. This is similar for the judges. Now, I can't de facto say what happens with judges if they approve too many claims, but I have been told by administrative law judges that have retired, right, that basically they would be reviewed if they approved too many people over a certain percentage. So if they approve some, have over a 70% passage rate, they're going to get a re-review by basically a higher chief ALJ to put them potentially through training again. So these are the things that they use to make sure that not as many people are approved by claiming that those claims are not essentially approvable claims. But you will notice, if you go all the way back to the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, the approval rates by the judges were significantly higher. And every single year, right, we keep going from 45 down to 44, 43, 42, 41, 40%. We keep hovering in this 40 to 45% range over the past couple of presidents. But, when it comes to approval rates at the ALJ level. But I think we're going to inch our way continuously more and more in the direction of 39% approval rating, 38% approval rating, 37% approval rating. In fact, I'm going to do a final thing. I'm not going to say their name, but it was a disability attorney law firm that was very, very famous. Guy wore a cowboy hat. You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing their advertisements. They were bought out by an investment group, and that investment group bought them out to basically go ahead and, have them go ahead and do lots of advertising, and win as many claims as possible. Right when the SSA massively dropped their percent average to a lower percent average approval, that group with the cowboy hats basically went bankrupt. They couldn't pay off their massive, massive advertising bill. And the bottom line was that they just, their investment partner was super pissed because they couldn't go ahead and win enough of these claims to pay for all of the advertising that they were doing. I can't say their name, but I'm sure it'll pop up in the chat section here on the side. Now, with that said, Diana Fernandez, thank you for the 2 donations. I see a $2 donation there. I'm going to add a little heart to it. That's awesome. That's very, very cool. I also see another one with ice cream, $1.49 donation. Thank you. That's amazing. That's very, very cool. Also, new subscriber here today. That's awesome. Charlton Zimmerman, the whole SSA staff will be replaced with AI in 5 years. I don't know about 5 years, but you give enough years, yeah, you'll be right at some point. With that said, I want to go ahead and keep these videos relatively short. I'm now going to be transitioning to where I go live. When I go live at the next video, you guys know how it works. You dial the 407-279-1754 phone number. You call in with a fake name. You have your legal question ready, and I will answer your legal question during that show. Remember to use a fake name and don't go into story mode. Just have your legal question ready. Also, it'll be generalized information. I can't go into specifics unless you give me specifics. And then basically from there, I will see you to go live in about 10 minutes. I'll catch you there. Please remember to like. Please remember to subscribe. Head over to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm. Throw some stars up on the board if I've helped you out with some of these videos. And then finally, if you need to hire me for an hour, there's a mini contract below. Pretty simple and straightforward. 1 hour where it's just private session is the $250. If you need me to write something for an hour, it's the $350. And then basically you have your options. So I will catch you in the next video where I go live to answer questions for free in about 10 minutes. See you soon, and I will catch you in 10 minutes. Thanks so much. All right, bye-bye, everybody.